It's 8 p.m. and here are our top stories. Tri-County Health updating its recommendation for masks in schools. Why some counties won't be able to ignore this public health order.
Put your kid in a mask. That's your child. And if you believe that's what is best for them, I respect that. And respect that I need what's best for my child.
A shooting victim in a deadly crime spree. Now doctors say he may never walk again.
What they're talking about is just getting me back into society in a wheelchair.
His words for his attackers.
If they could find it in a way to apologize to me and my family and just realize what their actions have done.
The U.S. mission in Afghanistan officially over after 20 years.
Tonight's withdrawal signifies both the end of the military component of the evacuation, but also the end of the nearly 20-year mission that began in Afghanistan.
The military may be gone, but the effort to get Americans and refugees out of the country continues.
My mom's entire side of the family is there, and I feel like everyone was left abandoned, and they were given false promises.
And a new wildfire prompting evacuations for one area still recovering from last year's inferno.
It's just a constant reminder up here that we live in wildfire country. That fire last year was extremely devastating.
Good evening and thank you for joining us at 8. I'm Jessica Porter. Tri-County Health has voted to remove the opt-out option from its school mask order. Tri-County recommended masks in schools for kids aged 2 to 11, but so far Douglas County and Adams County commissioners opted out of that guidance. Arapahoe County will decide at a meeting tomorrow. We begin tonight with Denver 7's Gary Brode.
The schools are saying, please, somebody step up and act.
Tri-County Health Commissioners starting the week questioning the need for masks with kids in schools and who should be making the decision, Tri-County, the county, or the districts. Dr. John Douglas with Tri-County Health stressed the need for masks as he wants to avoid kids going back to learning from home.
Part of the trade-off, more masks, less quarantine.
Members of the commission questioned the need for masks when the numbers remain low.
One person per 100,000 in that lower age group. One person in the hospital in all our county, and we're masking 2-year-olds.
Earlier in the day,
we received 18,472 responses.
Arapahoe County commissioners had a special session talking about the possibility of opting out of the mask mandate, leaving it to each school to decide.
55% of respondents support opting out of the public health order.
While Arapahoe County commissioners were discussing the findings of the survey, parents gathered outside the county building.
We wanted to come and put just a little bit of kind pressure, on our commissioners to let them know that us as parents, we want to opt out of the Tri-County mandate.
Believing it should be their decision to put a mask on their kids.
And we don't co-parent with the government. Exactly. The government wasn't there when I spent 105 days in the NICU. The government wasn't there when my son went code blue and I watched him die. The government wasn't there. I was. I went through those experiences with my son, and so I need them to understand that I know what's best for my child.
For Denver 7, I'm Gary Brode.
Gary, thank you. Tri-County Health also put a new mask policy into place. Masks will now be required for all students ages 2 and up. Now, despite the decision to opt out by county commissioners, several school districts have decided to keep mask mandates in place on their own. Douglas County schools, Aurora Public Schools, Adams 12 and Adams 14 have all decided to keep mandates in place. 3,600 new COVID cases were reported over the weekend in our state. ICU beds are filling up as well. Take UC Health, for example. They say they have 98 patients in the ICU right now. That's the highest number since early January. New in the last hour, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment has voted to require vaccines for staff at hospitals and other healthcare facilities. CDPHE says employees must receive their first shot by September 30th and their second dose before October 31st. Workers can opt out for health as well as religious reasons, but will need a sign-off from a medical professional. Pre-evacuation orders are in effect because of this Grand County wildfire. It's grown to about 170 acres on national forest land. It's just about 2 miles away from the East Troublesome Burn Scar, a fire that burned nearly 200,000 acres last year and damaged or destroyed hundreds of homes. The East Troublesome fire was devastating for the community, and residents in Grand County are understandably worried.
But otherwise, it's just a constant reminder up here that we live in wildfire country. That fire last year was extremely devastating. A lot of people up here in Grand County lost their homes. I have 3 employees that lost their homes in that fire, and we all really remember that fire. And so when this fire started, our community is watching it, and really the country is watching it as well.
Forest Service took command of the fire and is bringing in additional resources to respond to the fire on the ground and in the air. The city of Colorado Springs will pay a black man $65,000 after he was allegedly racially profiled by 3 police officers. This stems from a 2018 incident in which police were looking for a 15-year-old suspect.
Chance back for me, bud. I'm just trying to figure out who you are, man. We're looking for somebody, and you might match the description, but you're not saying who you are.
The ACLU filed a lawsuit against the city on behalf of 29-year-old Corey Barnes. The suit says Barnes matched none of the descriptions of the original suspect except for his skin tone. Officers handcuffed and illegally searched Barnes despite being heard on camera admitting they have the wrong guy.
Nope, this isn't who you're looking for? Okay, thank you.
The ACLU says officers wrote misleading reports that suggested they released Barnes when they learned he was not the suspect. In addition to settlement money, the Colorado Springs Police Department agreed to train all active police officers on the legality of so-called stop and frisk encounters. Denver is expanding its STAR program after a successful 1-year pilot. Its purpose is to divert certain emergency calls away from police and towards mental health professionals. In July, Denver City Council approved $1 million to fund the program. A Denver man shot earlier this month has now learned he may never walk again. Denver 7's Patrick Perez spoke with him from his hospital bed.
In just seconds, Thomas Young's life was forever changed.
I went from being, regular 30-year-old guy, athletic, riding a bike everywhere, and now I can't feel anything below my waist.
He was walking near the corner of East Colfax and North Lafayette on the night of August 17th when a group of men robbed and shot him.
And I didn't get but 2 blocks away from home before these men approached me.
The suspects left Thomas lying on the pavement bleeding. At first, he thought someone had lit a firecracker.
It's that weird, warm, wet sensation that I realized I was shot.
The robbery and shooting were part of a larger crime spree that lasted almost 2 hours and stretched across Denver. It ended with the shooting death of 18-year-old Shmuel Silverberg as he was leaving this Jewish school. Denver police have arrested 5 men, just 18 to 21 years old, they say committed the crimes.
I just want to get better. I want to beat this.
Thomas has been recovering at Denver Health since the shooting. That recovery, according to his doctors, will likely include spending the rest of his life in a wheelchair.
I'm just trying to keep a positive spin on things.
Thomas's family, including his fiance Derek,
he's been my rock when I want to start crying.
By his side, ready to support him. As of Monday afternoon, a GoFundMe to help with his medical expenses had raised more than $22,000.
Just that outreach, it's amazing, and it makes me cry.
But he wants something else, an apology from the suspects.
Just realize what their actions have done.
For the pain and the challenges that still lie ahead. Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
Definitely deserves one. Thomas says he may get transferred to a rehab facility next week, where he'll spend about 2 months learning how to do basically everything again. We've included a link to his GoFundMe account on thedenverchannel.com.
The U.S. military leaving Afghanistan after 20 years, but thousands of evacuees still stuck in the country.
I have, again, more cousins than I can even count, uncles, my aunts, my grandma still in Afghanistan.
Now America's withdrawal is leaving refugees and allies feeling left behind.
I feel like everyone was left abandoned and they were given false promises.
90s again today, but cooler and wetter weather is on the way later this week.
Dangerous flooding across the South and 1 million people without power.
We took about 15 people off the roofs of their homes.
The search and rescue efforts underway across the Gulf as Ida makes its way up the coast, and how one group from Colorado is jumping in to help.